Hi everyone, today's session is about PMO staffing model, selecting the right people for your project management office. My name is Bill Dow. I have 26 years in IT, 24 in project management, almost 10 years at Microsoft, but 11 years running large PMOs. I've written 3 books, The Tactical Guide for Building a PMO, Project Management Communication Tools, and the Project Management Communication Bible. Today's session is going to focus on the Tactical Guide for Building a PMO. We have 3 agenda items. We're going to start with the 4 P's of your PMO, determine your PMO services, and determine your PMO staffing requirements. Many PMO managers struggle to understand how to staff their PMOs. It's very common. Questions like, do I hire contractors? Do I need full-time staff? Am I going to hire portfolio managers, program managers, project coordinators? The list goes on and on. It can be very confusing. Some PMO managers just don't know where to even start. It actually doesn't have to be so confusing. You just have to have a process to follow, and that process is actually quite simple. First, you have to start with the 4 P's of your PMO. Every PMO manager needs to determine what are the 4 P's. Will they have portfolio management, program management, project management? Will you have portfolio and program? Will you have program and project? Will you just have project? PMO managers must determine what the 4 P's of the PMO before they can decide what kind of staffing they're going to need. Here's a great example, a great view of that. So portfolio management, project management, program management, all bundled up in the PMO itself. And a lot of PMO managers forget that, but you do have to determine what kind of methodology you're going to use before you can determine what kind of staff you need. Once you determine the type of PMO you need and you're going to run, you've got a great head start of what kind of staff you need. You're going to have a portfolio management PMO, you're going to hire a portfolio manager in most cases. However, that may or may not be true. The next step in this process is determining your PMO services. Once you determine the 4 P's of your PMO, then you determine the PMO services that you'll offer. PMO resources such as portfolio management, program management will have certain services attached to them. They could include portfolio management process across the org, portfolio prioritization, yearly planning processes, program management prioritization. Again, the list goes on, but every portfolio or program or project methodology you select will have certain services attached to it. Once you determine the 4 P's of your PMO, you determine your PMO services. The next and last step is determine the staff you need. So it's not an easy task. PMO managers are placed in this position and often may have unlimited funds, may not have funds, may have no idea what to hire or who to hire. It's not common. It comes up a lot. Do I just need vendors? Do I want contractors? Do I want to hire just vendors first, or should I just staff it with employees? All these questions come up in PMO managers' heads, and often they struggle and just don't know what to do. I was actually at a PMO conference a couple years ago, and one of the PMO managers came up to me and they knew I had written the book, and they said, hey, I just got unbelievable budget from my executive team. Money is no object. I have no idea who to hire. And they honestly were really stuck in understanding, how do I start this staffing process? Well, walking them through these 3 steps will give them a huge start in that, and will give you a huge start as well. So one of the things you want to think about when you're hiring your staff is, do you want PMI certified people, right? Do they have to have their PMP? What kind of industry experience? What kind of formal PMO experience? Is that important to you? Do they know standard PMO tools and processes? What kind of customer service skills? What kind of methodology? Do they have strong communication skills? These are kind of the questions and some of the questions that you're going to ask and drive through as you determine what kind of staffing you need. What about vendors? What about employees? It's often very easy to hire and get vendors kind of up and running a lot quicker before you do that long-term employee hire. What about long-term vendors that span multiple years? What kind of in-depth knowledge do they need to the company? Are they good just coming in fresh but no program or project or portfolio management? What level of expertise is needed, right? So when you're thinking about vendors, you're thinking about employees, there's a number of questions you're going to have to ask yourself, and some of these questions are really, really important to go through and to understand. What about the career growth, right? What happens when you are a functional manager for these portfolio or program managers, right? Well, PMI did an amazing job. They actually came up with a certification path. I'm going to show you that coming up here. But it makes it very, very simple for you as a PMO manager, who's also a functional manager, to have great PMI and great PMO growth conversations. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. You're seeing a span of 1 to 20 years. You're seeing where all the various PMI certifications fall in. You can see that 3 to 10 year, very, very common, very, very common that you'll find out in the industry. For anyone in the 1 year, you'll see the CAPM, great PMI certification, great tool that they're going to get them certified, get them in that world. And you'll see all the kind of the 15 to 20 years. There's not a lot out there. You see portfolio managers, you're going to hire someone for a portfolio manager, they should probably have 15 plus years. Again, it's really how mature your portfolio management process is, but using this PMI certification path and using this guide will really, really help you drive and understand exactly that functional conversation that you can have with your employees. Obviously, you won't as a contractor with your contractors, but you can certainly do that with your employees. Then it's really, really important to have an org chart. I think it's real critical as a PMO manager to put an org chart out there. You'll see, do I have an assistant? Do you have portfolio management, program management, project management? But getting an org chart out there really sets the foundation, really helps you drive your organization and mature your organization as a whole. One of the things that's really, really important is having that PMO hiring and that onboarding guide, right? When a PMO comes in, a PMO person comes in, you want to give them a company parking pass. You want to make sure they've got email and network address. What about PMO methodologies? Give them playbooks, show them training and process links, tell them about vacations and out of office calendars. And so having a PMO hiring kind of an onboarding guide is really critical for getting your staff onboarded as quickly as possible and getting them ramped up and going. So when you think about the 4 P's of your PMO, you think about PMO services, and then you add your PMO staff and some of the qualifications you had. When you add those 3 together, you've got the right PMO staff for your organization. It does really take the combination of all these factors to really help you drive and understand the right PMO model and the right PMO staff that you need. Here's a great tool I strongly suggest you use. It's the PMO Roles and Responsibilities Staffing Model. What you see down the side is you see the specific service offerings. So provide executive support, provide leadership, provide portfolio management. They're service offerings. To the side, you see the executive leader, the PMO manager, the portfolio manager. These are the various roles you're going to have in your PMO, and then you'll see, like a RACI, the responsibility, accountability, consultant, and forum, you fill those in. One of the first glaring things you'll find is if you have a service offering and you don't have a respective role or a person in that role, you'll see a glaring hole there, and you'll actually see a hiring opportunity. And so if you work with your executives and you determine your service offerings and they're good with that, then you also need to determine what role will perform that service offering. And this gives you the justification to go to your hiring manager, your leadership, or whoever the person that's holding the PMO budget, and you'll say, hey, you've asked me to do this service offering. Here's the role I need. You'll see I've got no name in that role. So this becomes a great justification tool and a great tool to really help you drive and help you understand how exactly to use the PMO roles and responsibility staffing model to hire the right people for your organization. So you determine your 4 P's of your PMO, you determine your service offering, you've understood the qualifications of the people you need, now you apply them to the roles and responsibility staffing model. Using this model, we'll see exactly what services you will offer and where you have holes or you don't have holes, right? Determine what staff you'll need, and then work with your leadership team and say, hey, what offerings would you want me to have, and would you be okay you'd be okay to hire those people for those offerings that you've asked for? Can you guys see other benefits? I think you can. It's a great, great tool. So as we summarize, hiring the right staff can make or break a PMO. Right? Hiring duds, you can be stuck with these duds for years and years, and it becomes a big drain on your organization. So you've got to approach this in a structured way. Make sure you have the career path conversations. If you've got employees, you've got to walk them through how they're going to advance in their career. There's no question. PMI's done a great job. They've mapped portfolio, program, and project managers. They've mapped those together, and I think very, very strongly that that's a tool that you can use, and a tool that you can use to really help you drive your organization and the staffing for your organization. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.